Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining me, Jag Singh, for another dose of Positive Minds. Positive Minds is a program which I like to bring on inspirational and informative individuals who give us some great advice and tips on how we can improve our lives. Now, after the show, you can download my book, Unbreakable. Unbreakable is an ebook available on Amazon. Unbreakable is my story of growing up in the 1970s in East London, surrounded by hate crime and racism, and it shows exactly what I went through to get from there to here. And also, you can go and watch all the previous Positive Mind programs on my YouTube channel. Simply type in Jag Singh I Can on your browser. So that's Jag Singh I Can, and catch up on all previous Positive Mind shows. Now, on this show, I like to bring on people who, go through hard work and determination, and they make something, they create something. And today I've got such an individual with me. I've got Elizabeth Radcliffe. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining me today.
% excited and 10% nervous.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And where are you speaking from at the moment? You're near Cardiff, is that right?
I'm in Virginia, Cardiff, that's right.
Excellent, excellent. Now, Elizabeth, you're going to talk about something that you've created, through your hard work and determination. Please tell me about your book that you've recently released, please.
Okay, so I've written a children's picture book about Larry the cat that is an actual cat that lives at 10 Downing Street in London. It lives with the Prime Minister and his dog called Dylan. So the book is all about that.
Excellent. And so your passion. I understand your passion.
My cat has just jumped on me. So I've got a few passions. One is for reading and writing, and the other one is for cats. So basically, I've put them all together in one and come up with something super. Well, I think something really super. Anyway, but yes, it's an absolute love affair of mine, writing, because it's dreaming with your eyes open when you read something.
And how long did it take you to write this book, Elizabeth?
I would say about 6 months, because from the first thoughts of the books to getting the story, because I have to have a beginning, middle and end, something that's thoroughly satisfying, and you go through lots of different drafts. So I would say about 6 months.
Okay, and I know you spoke that you've got a passion for writing, you've got a passion for cats. Why 10 Downing Street? How did that idea come up?
Oh, I'm absolutely bedazzled by Larry. He's got such personality and he steals the show no matter what politician is outside Downing Street. If he's there, everybody goes berserk because it's Larry. So I saw Larry, Jag, as a superstar in the making. And I'm thinking to myself, why has nobody ever written a picture book about this character? Because how many picture books have a character that actually is alive, that lives in 10 Downing Street? You can see pictures of him all over the internet, on TV. He makes the national news. So for me, it was a no-brainer, and I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this done.
And do you know what? That really inspires me, because, I love the fact that you went out there, found a character, and you sat there, and you said to yourself, "Do you know what? I'm going to write a story about this cat." And you not only thought it, you not only wrote it, you actually published it as well. Writing is very challenging at times. So, what kind of challenges did you come across, Elizabeth, when you was writing the book?
Okay, so I do challenges are, if I can say that they were challenges, was I was working full time as well. So I'm a legal secretary by profession in the day. So if I had thoughts about things that I want to write about, I jot it down quickly in a notebook. And then when I had more time, like on my lunch break to work, then I would write it out in full. My second challenge was, with any book, you can't just say, oh, here's Larry the cat, he's a lovely character, that's the story. There's got to be something good here. It's got to be beginning, middle, thrill and end. Now, I got that when Dylan the dog came along, because Dylan the dog became the baby. Larry's whiskers were put out of joint. And I thought that lots and lots of little people could identify that when mum and dad had a new baby and they bring it into the house, and all of a sudden they're not the littlest, they're not the youngest. So it was all about how Larry reacts to Dylan the dog turning up in Downing Street.
Brilliant. Writing, I'm a writer myself, Elizabeth, and I find writing to be very therapeutic, especially during lockdown. It was like something, yeah, I was passionate about, and I had the time to do it, and I actually went into it and I gave it my best. What does writing do for you?
It's pure and utter escapism. My love of writing came from my love of reading. I absolutely love reading. As I said before, it's dreaming with your eyes open. My mum always said to me, if you can read a book, you'll never be lonely. You can completely escape reality. So if you're having a down in the dumps day and you're not feeling too good, grab a book and read. Get a pencil and pen, write down your thoughts, make something magical up. That's what it's all about. It's escapism, and it's beautiful. I can sit here today at 48 years old and still go into the world of Narnia or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Alice in Wonderland, and I'm gone. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
And as my kids grew up, I'm glad that some of those books you mentioned. I went through them again with my children. I mean, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. My boy Josh read it, and Alicia read it. And I never get enough of it because Roald Dahl is like a legend in himself. He's a guy who, like you just said there, the word magic. Writing is magic. You're creating something out of nothing, and when that nothing becomes that's on a piece of paper becomes a book like it has for you, and then it becomes a TV program and everything. I mean, that's creativity, and on Positive Minds, Elizabeth, always out there, people watching right now, you got to make your dreams come true. You got to start writing, start reading, and follow your dreams. Elizabeth, I love the way you've combined your two passions. I mean, that's great. That's great, and that's anybody out there's got a hobby or interested in something, they can write about it. Is that right?
Of course I can. I haven't just written about cats. As you know, I've written quite a few books. I've written about unicorns, pirates, mermaids, you name it, I've written about them. That's the beauty of it. Your passion might not be for cats, but if you fancy having a little go, just brainstorm, write some bits and pieces down, something you're interested in. It can be whatever. It could be about horses, about baby lambs, whatever you fancy. It's your creation. It's your magical world.
And saying that, I remember when I think it was must have been about 9 years old, Elizabeth, and I wrote my first story when I learnt to write. And it's the Sinbad story of his adventures in the seas, and he meets all these monsters and everything. And that's where it all started off for me. And now I'm also published my book on Amazon. And, it's creativity because if I look back now, what I was doing there was actually practicing. I was practicing how to write. I was practicing verbs, nouns. I was practicing all the way through. And eventually, when you get to a time and you say to yourself, "No, wait a minute, now I've got an idea. I'm going to make it happen." So everyone out there, get writing, get reading. Make it happen like Elizabeth has. Elizabeth, I looked at some of your illustrations in your book. They're amazing.
Oh, I had the most marvellous illustrator working with me, a Scottish guy called Dave Hill. And I looked at various illustrators, and when I saw his work, I thought, you, Dave, will be able to bring Larry to life. And didn't he do a superb job? And he took every direction. I asked him to put Boris in the book. I asked for Dylan to be put in the Welsh little sort of like everything I asked for, he did, and he did it perfectly. I've got nothing but good things. And if I do another Larry book, and I'd love to, I want Dave to illustrate again.
And that's Dave Hill, yeah, you said, yeah?
Dave Hill, yes.
Excellent, because I've looked through it and they're amazing, the pictures. And also, I read one of your quotes that you wrote was that although the book's for children, it's a book for adults as well. Because even like I said earlier, I still like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and everything. And some of the books which I used to read with the children at bedtime was like, I wanted myself to know what the ending was going to be.
Oh, completely. And I think as well, the added thing is that I found since I wrote this book, and I always knew that Larry was popular, but I didn't know just Jag how popular this cat was. He's got a worldwide fan base, not just a UK fan base. So quite a few people who've bought it, adults have bought it for nephews, nieces, grandchildren, have said I had a sneaky peek first. I read it first
So, how did it
because
feel? So, Elizabeth, how did it feel when you actually published your book? And I like asking this question because it's something that someone out there right now watching this is writing the book and they're not finishing it. They haven't finished it yet, and they're on the way to finish it, or they're gonna, they're working hard towards it. And that goal that they want to achieve is what you've achieved already. So, how did it feel when you published your book?
Like magic, like absolute magic. Do you know what it's like when I first? It's one thing seeing the illustrations in your text in separate compartments. Do you know when I first saw that book, the physical copy of that book? There's nothing like it, and you're thinking, "Oh, that took some time." That's from start to finish, the writing stage, the illustrations, the getting it into production, and you see it there in front of you. You can't describe it. And that's why it is so worth keeping going. If you've got an idea for a little book, keep it going and keep it going, because you have no idea how super it is to see it actually in a physical form.
And writing, it's not, I'm not going to sit here and say writing's easy. It's challenging, but anything worth working for in life. If you want anything in life, you have to work for it. And I've written, as I say, I've written a book, and it's not easy. Sometimes I feel like chucking my laptop out of the window and just putting it away and
I
thinking,
know.
no, I'm not going to do it no more. I've had enough. I don't know which I'm going. So you have to have kind of like a tough skin as well, don't you?
Oh, definitely, definitely, you have to have a tough skin. And quite often, what I do with books, you were asking me about how long it took me. A lot of that is because I was always told by a lady called Lucy Levan, who is a published author. She said, leave the book for a week. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Fresh eyes go back in a week. It's a really, really good idea. And then you do it again for a week, and then you only start working on that manuscript as being the perfect manuscript when you don't need to go back. You think, I don't need to leave it another week. This is what I want to send out.
I mean, I personally, I'm laughing now because I remember when I was a bit arguing with my book. I'm saying, I've had enough of you, right? It's not getting, it becomes like a relationship, It sounds a bit insane, but it's like a
It
relationship. So I'm like, enough of you, I'm not going to do it no more. And like what you just said, there was perfect. I should leave it for a week. So like, I kind of like sulk about it, I'm not talking to you. And then after a week, during that week, and you also noticed you said earlier, you used to write little notes down. That helps me out a lot as well. When that idea came to my head, and I'm thinking, oh wait a minute, that's the way I want to go, and I'd quickly jot it down, and that relationship will restart again.
Well, this is it. And sometimes what I do well is that, I mean, this might not be for everybody, Jag, but sometimes I'll be working on one book. If I'm starting to run into problems because I can't work something out, a storyline, etc., in my head, I think I'll start jotting down doing some brainstorming for a different book, and then I'll go back fresh. But it's taken my mind off it. But I'm still being productive, and I'm still, creating things. So, but yes, I got to be honest with you. Sometimes writing can be a tad frustrating, but it's worth it.
100%. Anything that you can produce through creativity, for your arts, for your skill, and Elizabeth, only you know the hard work you've been through to get that book published. Just something on what you said there. I'm just thinking about a motivational speaker called Jim Rohn, and I advise everyone to listen to him. Jim Rohn, Rohn. And when I was 16, 17, I went through some of his stuff, and he's amazing. One of the things he said was, "Don't use your mind as a filing cabinet." Right, so some people, so when you're writing your book, like you just said there, don't have all these ideas in your head and think, I'm going to write about that, I'm going to write that. Get a piece of paper, write it down. And the same thing applies for life in general as well. People who've got goals, said, get a piece of paper, write it down. Don't use your mind as a filing cabinet. And sometimes, people who are with their children, they're thinking about work, they're thinking about this. Get your mind out of the office and give that undivided attention to your partner or your children. And when I used to think of things when I was with my wife or children, I used to just make a jot it down. That's it, it's done now. It's that piece of paper, and I know it's there. It's not going to go away. Because sometimes we can come up with great ideas, and if we don't write them, we can forget them, can't we, Elizabeth?
Oh, do you know what? That's why I started wandering around with a tiny little notepad and pen in my bag, because I'd think of something. By the time then something else would come up. Get back to my house. What was that wonderful thought I had? Why didn't I write that down? And from now on, I've always got paper and pen in my bag. Write this little thing just to remind me, and then it jogs your memory.
So there you go. Use your minds, guys. Don't use your mind as a filing cabinet. You know, if you've got any
No,
ideas, or you write a book and you've got a few writing down. So Elizabeth,
it's cluttering if you do that to your mind. You don't want to clutter your mind.
yes, yes, 100%, 100%. Because yeah, overthinking is not good anyway for everyone. You know, I think overthinking and and sometimes, like you said earlier, it's best just to leave it for a week, walk away from it, and then that idea will come. You have to send that message to your brain and say, I don't know which way to go with this direction, this story now that I'm writing, but it will come. The worst thing you guys can do out there, I'm going to say this now, Elizabeth, I'm sure you'll agree with me, is don't give up. Do not give up. Rest if you must. Rest if you must. But definitely get back on track. I mean, I've been away to Birmingham for 3 days now, and I haven't done no workout, and I've been eating and enjoying myself and everything. All right, I've had a rest, but I'm back now. So today, the first thing I did was went back to the gym, and rest if you must, and we mustn't pressurise ourselves. Just have a break, and sometimes I think that's when the best answer comes, doesn't it, Elizabeth?
Definitely, and I think if you try and push yourself to do something, you end up not liking what you're doing. Like you said, let it be organic. Let it just, when it comes, it comes. Don't fight with yourself and say, must think of a story, I must think of a story. The chances are, if what, as you said, you just leave it for a little bit of time, go and do something else, something will pop into your brain. Always. Like magic.
Magic, yes, that's 100% magic. And Elizabeth, you touched on it a little while ago. You've written so many books, and tell me about them.
Oh, well, I am a bit of a compulsive writer. I've written books on everything from mermaids to pirates to unicorns, pegacorns. I've done so many things. I've also delved in and out of trying to write in rhyme, which is very difficult. If people think it's easy to write in rhyme, it is not. Um, I'm willing to try anything, and my next thing, other than writing another Larry book, is I'd like to write books for older children, and I've got an idea for that. So we'd be moving up the age range. So I'd be looking to write in chapter books, which would be more books that a child would read on their own and don't have really very many illustrations in, just the odd little pencil illustrations. I'm not thinking of writing Harry Potter, but that kind of age group range. But
And and
that's a big thing.
oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah, because I always tell my children, Elizabeth, that once you climb a mountain, go and find a bigger mountain, and keep moving and moving. Now that you've got the confidence of publishing a book, it's out there. You've got great illustrations. Now, obviously, you can go and look for a bigger mountain, and that sounds to me like that's going to be one big project that you'll be doing.
It really, really is. And again, Jag, I have a cupboard absolutely brimming of lots and lots of bits of paper with squiggles on it that I've got for this chapter book. And it just got bigger and bigger. And in a way, I'm kind of a little bit overwhelmed to go through it all. But it's there. The book is there, and I will. It'll just be a matter of time. It'll take a while, but as you know, in the book world, it's in a kind of a different, more of a twilight world. Things move differently in the world of publishing. So, but it's definitely something I like to do, like to get my teeth into.
And Elizabeth, how do you manage your writing time? Because what I still do is when I'm writing is when I wake up, have a coffee, get settled down, and I like to spend the first 3 to 4 hours. Because before, Elizabeth, no joke, I just spend about 9, 10 hours writing, and that's just a marathon, and I have to calm myself down because obviously sometimes you have to reduce your schedule because we don't want to overdo it. So I reduced my schedule and I cut down, went from 9 hours to writing only 3 hours a day and everything, and I felt so good for it because they gave me time. My best time for writing was in the mornings. How do you manage your writing time?
I tend to write, obviously I'm working still, so I tend to write actually not just getting ideas, but putting things down. A lot of it would be over the weekends. I'd spend hours and hours putting things together. But it's the other way with children's picture books because, unlike with an adult book, you've got to be really, really, really specific with the word count. So in a way, you've got to keep chopping it down and chopping it down. It still has to make sense because children's picture books shouldn't really be over 500 words. But I would say whenever the mood takes you. So if I feel like doing a bit of writing of an evening, I'll do it. But I don't push myself. But normally I quite quite happy to do it. Like I said, it's a lovely little way of, and like you say, and the next thing you turn around and it's 4 hours later and you're thinking, what? But it was a great 4 hours in another world, in another
So
dimension.
Elizabeth, if people want to get your book, when you tell us where it's available, how they can follow your journey on Twitter, because I know you've got a Twitter account. Tell me where your book's available and how people can follow you on Twitter and find out what you're doing.
My book, Larry, number 10, it's available on Amazon. It's available from WH Smith's. It's available from Waterstone. So most of the major retailers, and it's available in both paperback, like I've just shown you, but you can also download it to your devices as a Kindle. If people want to follow me on Twitter, I am Elizabeth, and then RADCLF5. And if they want to message me on there, then that's perfectly fine, and I can answer any questions that they want.
Superb. Elizabeth, listen, I was just told by the producer that we've got a few minutes left. So, very quickly, what's your advice to someone out there who wants to write a book and wants to publish it?
Go for it, go for it, go for it. Don't, and if you are rejected, because it's very, very difficult to get published, if you are rejected, get on with it. Just don't even think about it. Don't go, I'm not going to send off to anybody else. Everybody suffers rejection. Just keep with it. Keep with it. Because at the end of the day, getting published is the icing on the cake. But that's not all and everything. It's the process, the whole process of you creating something. And that's lovely. If it gets published, icing on the cake. But it's the whole journey.
So there you go,
Perseverance,
some guys.
definitely.
Elizabeth, that you are so right. Creativity, guys. Okay, so we're on Positive Minds today. We've spoken about being creative, writing that book down, making it publish, publishing that book, and make sure no matter what happens, you don't give up. Have a break from it, chill out, have some time off, but make sure you get back on track as soon as possible. Listen, Elizabeth, it's been great. I'm sorry I've run out of time, but it's been great to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Jag, for having me, and I've had a delightful time. And thank you, Seek Channel, as well. It's been lovely. Honoured.
No problem. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. So there you have it, guys. Okay, today Elizabeth Radcliffe she's got a passion for cats. She loves cats. Okay, you got your passion. Why not write about it? Why not write a book about it? Start from scratch, write down an outline of the beginning, middle, and end, and then work through it. Sometimes you might just want to take it easy and not write for a day or two, but keep at it, keep chipping away at it, because one day that can become an actual material object that's going to be in front of you, and you're going to publish it just like Elizabeth have. So thank you guys again for joining me, Jag Singh, on Positive Minds today, and please keep smiling and keep moving forward. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.